Hi, welcome to Kentucky Avery's Tier 1 PBIS modules. Today's module is going to be focused on prevention and teaching. In terms of where we are in our 4 boxes of PBIS, we're moving into box 2. In the last module, we talked a lot about prediction. In this module, it's all about using that prediction to figure out how to make kids be more successful. And we're going to call that prevention through teaching. In future modules, we're going to talk more about getting everybody on board and about collecting data. But I'll tell you right now, a lot of what we're going to talk about under this prevention teaching is going to also involve box 3, which is that getting everybody involved. So here are the big ideas that we need to think about when we talk about prevention and teaching. 1, everything we do with prevention is predicated on the idea of prediction. When we know who, what, when, where, and why, we have all the information we need to create the highest probability of success. All of our prevention is going to happen in 3 ways. 1 is rules. What are we going to teach those kids to do in order to make them more successful? The second is routines. How will we put these things in place? What's our schedule? How long can something go before it won't work? And 3, arrangements. Where should I be standing? Where should the kids be? How many kids could be there at once? How should the furniture be arranged? Those are all things we control, and we can use them for prevention. All 3 of these things, however, are things we teach to the kids, which is why we say this is prevention through instruction teaching. So effective instruction is our best prevention. In fact, if you think about it, here's a great definition of being a teacher. Teachers do things. They say things in a certain way. They stand in a certain place. They describe things. They explain things. They use great examples. They set environments up to make kids be successful. And then when the kids are successful, the teacher gives all the credit back to the kid. Wow, you did that right. We don't go around and set kids up to be successful and then take the credit ourselves. The credit goes to the student. So anybody can go in and say, here's what I want you to do. That doesn't make you a teacher. Teachers create environments that create higher probabilities for kids' success. So here are some things to think about as we start to develop that instruction. Let's first talk about the rules. The rules are also called expectations. Both rules and expectations refer to the things we want to teach the students to do to make them be more successful. So we need a good definition of what we want them to do, when we want them to do it, where we want them to do it, and why we want them to do it. We're going to use really authentic examples for the students so they make sense to them. And we're going to be explicit. And what that means is we're going to be crystal clear with them what it is we're asking them to do and why we're asking them to do it. A big part of being explicit also means making it clear to kids by using examples that are relevant for them. Now, the routines and arrangements, here's a way to think about those. Routines and arrangements are things that adults do during instruction to make it more likely that the kids will be successful with the rules we're teaching. So start thinking about prediction. Would kids be more likely or less likely to be successful if you stood here versus there? If you said that before versus after class, if you had a discussion early versus later, and those are all things we control. When we do it, how you group the kids, how we create an environment out in the hallway that keeps kids on the right side of the hallway as they walk. All of those things that we control are still parts of instruction. And of course, feedback is a part of instruction. So as we create these plans, there are 2 big ideas to really focus on, and those ideas are logic and reality. A plan that's really, really logical, wow, this really would make a difference, but that's too hard for people to do, won't work. By that same token, something that's really easy for everybody to do, but doesn't have much of a probability for making a difference, isn't going to get us anywhere. What we're looking for as a school are those behaviors that we could engage in that we believe are super simple and realistic and also would make a difference. So one way to think about this is take all the strategies you've come up with as ideas, put them all on a list and order them from easiest to most complicated, and do the easiest one first. If they're already logical, then let's go with easy. And if that doesn't work, we can work our way up. But we always want to have that rule of thumb. Do the simplest thing possible to get the successes that you're looking for. So keep thinking. Logic, reality. Here's where you're going to need to think about bringing your whole school into it. And this really takes us to box 3 on those 4 boxes. You've got to be thinking about, how do you get all the adults in your school to agree? Well, you're not, probably. But what you can do is get everybody into a discussion where we're talking about why we would do one thing instead of another. Talk about the logic, talk about the reality, and then we're looking for a vote. Consensus is what we're looking for, and you can define consensus however you think you need to. Generally speaking, 80% is a great consensus. If you can get 80% of the adults in your school to agree that this is where we'd like to go, you can usually get the other 20% to play along too. But your school might be different. You might need 90% in order to feel comfortable, or you might believe that you could get by with 50%. Bottom line, you've got to know your school, and you've got to think about what your adults are going to want to do and how you can explain it. But big idea here is engage your adults. Let them say what they think, have a discussion, and vote as a school. What you see here on this slide is an example of a school that came up with 4 rules for their hallway. Walk, keep moving, use appropriate language, and keep hands to self. 4 simple things that cover all the things they want kids to do. But notice, they have the adults doing 6 things. 4 adult, 4 kid behaviors, 6 adult behaviors. So just because we're teaching kids doesn't mean there aren't things for us to do. Remember, teaching them 4 things is one thing for us to do, but what are all the things we could do in the environment? Stand in the hallway, give reminders in the hallway, have more adults in the hallway, have movement in the hallway. All of those are routines and arrangements that we could create to make it more likely this would work. Now comes one of the parts that's really difficult for schools in PBIS. It's a very simple thing, but sometimes something that's misused. You've probably, if you've seen a PBIS school, noticed that they have a poster in their hallway, and it says something about PBIS. To many, I think they think that's all you need in order to be a PBIS school. Here's what that poster's for. That poster is supposed to be a summary of the big ideas that cover everything you want kids to do. For example, if you said, respect yourself, and that means keep yourself safe and learning. Respect others, treat other people the way you'd like them to treat you. Respect property, treat other people's and public's property the way you'd like people to treat your property. Those 3 rules act as anchors for everything you'd want your kids to do. Be on time, be prepared, do your work. Those are all under respect others. Think about peer relations, how you treat other people. How do you treat somebody when they're not being respectful to you? Those are all things we teach under that header of be respectful. Respect property, that covers borrowing, theft, vandalism, all other things. So again, we've got 3 rules that cover every behavior. Now all the little rules you make, stay to the right, use an inside voice, stay in your seat, all of those are simply examples of those 3 big ideas. So here's why we made the poster. We make the poster to remind kids of what we stand for in this school. In this school, we stand for respect, responsibility, and being safe. In this school, we stand for being on time and being responsible and being respectful. As long as you as a school can identify those 3 or 4 big ideas and teach them to your kids, every little idea you have now is simply an example. This is effective instruction. What we've done here is we've anchored all the little rules we want kids to do to some big ideas. What we know is when you've anchored little things to big things, kids remember them better and they can tell you what to do instead of what not to do. Go into any school and ask kids what the rules are. If they don't know, what they're going to tell you is no fighting, because everybody can tell you what they're not supposed to do. Again, the research we have says when we've taught these rules in an anchored manner, the kids can tell us what they're supposed to do and they can remember them better. So that poster in the hall isn't there just to be a poster. It's there as a reminder of who we are and what we do in our school. Stick with the positive. You see two graphics here. One is a sign we found on the internet. We don't really know where it came from, but it's ridiculous. No crime. But that's really no more ridiculous than putting a sign up in the hallway that says, no hitting, no kicking, no pushing. Your kids already know that. What they don't necessarily know is, what should I be doing? If somebody comes up and bothers me, what do? I push them away. Why? It works. Well, now we're going to say, kids, don't do that. And that's not helpful unless we're teaching, when somebody bothers you, here's a respectful way to handle that. So we want to stick all of our rules in the form of what we want you to do, not what we don't want you to do. Focus on the positive. Teach what you want kids to do. Model what that should look like. Now, what we have asked schools to do in PBIS over the years is to create a matrix. You're looking at a matrix here. This is the purpose of a matrix. The matrix is your school's behavior curriculum. It's what every adult in your school has decided we're going to do. This is not instruction for the kids. If you were to put this matrix up in the hall, no kid is going to read it. This is our agreement. When we sat down as a school and we all talked and we voted, this is what we voted on as the rules. Notice on this one that you're looking at now, there's a blank column for classroom. And that's important because in PBIS, every classroom teacher has their own set of classroom rules. We don't have a school-wide set of classroom rules. However, in this particular school, respectful, responsible, and right on time are the big ideas. And every teacher has those three ideas. If you're the art teacher, you tie your rules to those three ideas. If you're the language arts teacher, you tie whatever rules you have to those same three big ideas. It's always going to come back to a focus on those ideas. The matrix is simply our agreement. And you can set these matrices up in a number of ways, but remember, all they are is a summary of the agreements we just made as a school. Every adult in the school should have this because it reminds them of what we've all agreed upon. It's great when your matrix and your big ideas set up some sort of a acronym to spell out something associated with your school, but that's not really important. Or at least it's not important to the extent that you should work really hard to create a weird acronym that contains something that spells out a word you want it to. And sometimes we see schools using words that kids don't even know just to make the acronym work. The acronym is totally secondary to the instructional aspect. Just worry about, are our 3 or 4 big ideas there, and are we using those to teach in our school? So here are some more things to consider if you just want a list of things that need to be in place to make instruction work. We've already talked about the first one. Be explicit. Tell them, show them, give them examples that make sense. Model and demonstrate. Show it to them. And when you show it to them, engage them and say, is this right or not? How do you know? Rather than say, here's the rule, present this to them as a question. Watch me. Do you think this is right? How do you know? What about our big rule of respect others? Does that fit this? That's a great way to have this instruction begun, is via discussion. If you sit down and just say to kids, shut up and listen while I list off all the rules, you've lost engagement before you got started. Provide lots of reminders and encouragement for kids, just like you would for academics. Think ahead. Where will kids fail? And when you know where they're going to fail, or you think you have an idea, give extra reminders and extra instruction regarding those places and issues. When you see kids doing it right, tell them. You don't need to make a huge deal. We don't need to give things away, but you need to say, I noticed you. You did that right. Thank you. And when you see them doing it wrong, stop them and provide a correction. What's the rule here? Why do we have that rule? Could you show me the right way, please? Everything we just talked about here is just as important for teaching behavior as it is for teaching reading or math or science or health or any of the other academic areas that we have in the school. And that's why we've made this big focus on effective instruction, because it's the most powerful thing we've got. So in this module, we've covered prevention through teaching. But remember, teaching is more than just telling the kids what we want them to do. It's creating instruction and environments that make it more likely they do. And that's going to be the big piece of PBIS for us. But we're not just randomly making these rules. We're making them based upon the predictions we made from our earlier modules. Now, in the next few modules, we're going to talk about feedback and then data. And those will round out what we do for Tier 1 in PBIS.